Welcome to today's edition of 3 Minute Halacha. According to the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reish Ayin Gimel, a person is required to recite Kiddush in the very same place where the meal will be eaten. This is referred to as Kiddush b'makom Seudah. The following are the requirements of Kiddush b'makom Seudah. First of all, that it has to be in the same location. For example, if a person made Kiddush in one home and then walked to a different home to be able to eat their meal, they didn't fulfill the requirement of Kiddush b'makom Seudah, and they'd have to make Kiddush all over again. Also, one is supposed to eat the meal right after Kiddush. But what does right after or immediately, the terminology of the Ramah La'alter, mean? According to the Mishnah Berurah, it means right after Kiddush is recited, you're supposed to right away wash, make a motzi, and eat your meal. However, the Aruch HaShulchan in Siman Reish Ayin Gimel Sif Dalet and Moshe Feinstein as well both rule that it means there shouldn't be a long, unnecessary break between Kiddush and the meal. Shelo yimshoch zman rav. If the Kiddush and meal are taking place in one single room, the same place, then one is actually permitted to recite Kiddush in one corner of the room and eat the meal in the other. It's best, nevertheless, to have this in mind when you're making that Kiddush, that you'll be making Kiddush in one place of the room, and the other corner you'll be eating your meal. If Kiddush and Seudah are taking place in two different rooms, but in the same building, a person should have this in mind and see the place where the meal will be eaten when they're saying Kiddush. However, in pressing circumstances, as long as you have it in mind or you see that's sufficient, as is noted in the Mishnah Berurah, Reish Ayin Gimel, Sif Kaf and Chet. The Seudah, the meal you're supposed to have, should ideally consist of bread. However, if one doesn't eat bread, a person can fulfill this obligation of the meal for the purpose of Kiddush with eating something that contains the grains that are called the Chameshet Minei Dagan, wheat, oats, spelt, barley, etc., upon which you'd normally make a mizonot. That food is not food which would normally be like cake or cookies or crackers. However, it could even be a kugel or a pasta salad. In those cases, you can make Kiddush and you would have your mizonos. When there's no choice, if a person, for example, can't even eat grain products, you could drink an additional amount of wine or grape juice, an additional revi'it. Again, when it comes to the question of eating, we're supposed to eat at least a kazayit, which is about 1.27 fluid ounces of this mizonot food. If you don't eat a kazayit, then you've been able to make your Kiddush, but you didn't fulfill the requirements. So you'd have to say Kiddush again when you're going to eat a real meal. It should be noted that according to many poskim, if you have the mizonos after you make Kiddush, you have fulfilled the requirement of Kiddush b'makom Seudah, but you may not have fulfilled the requirement of having 3 Shabbos meals where you're supposed to have a motzi. And therefore, ideally, when you make a Kiddush, you should always have the ability to have bread, to have that ability to fulfill both Kiddush b'makom Seudah and the Shabbos Seudah in its ideal form.